Oh yes, here's something that you have to consider. Okay, voluntary sacrifice. The Torah. Let's segue into Tmidim and Musafim. We're going to look in the seventh parak, I think. The other night, I was trying to tell someone, just bring him this particular source in the halacha. It said, did you know there's an actual mila? Yeah, the Mara is approximately in 8 minutes. Did you know there's an actual mila to go to the base of Mikdash to daven? You're supposed to go to the base of Mikdash to daven. So what was the main source that we have, especially in times of distress? You're supposed to daven the base of Mikdash. It's in Tainus. Okay? You can learn a lot from the way the Rambam's language. It says before, but it's good to show everybody. When you have a terrible series of fasts, why? The rain's not coming, there's a terrible plague or something like that. What do? So you have Gezerah. More and more fast days, correct? Right? And there's also special prayer services that are held on these fast days and special texts. Shmon Esrei is a lot more than Shmon Esrei now. Yeah. And the special text there. Okay, this is, for those of you keeping score at home, it's in Zmanim, and it's in Tainus. What is the fourth parak? Ta'aniyoth. Sorry. Tainus is the name of the Masechta. Ta'aniyoth is the name of the halacha book. Well, they're both called Ta'aniyoth. The Masechta is called Ta'aniyoth also. Yeah, plural. And Machon Mamre did one more than them. They spelled Ta'aniyoth. They added another yud, in case you didn't know to read a Ta'aniyoth, which I think is really going above and beyond what was necessary. Okay, so Kishayim with Palim al Seder Azeb Yerushalayim, Hayubit Kansim Bahar Abayit, Kiget Shar Mizrach. Say that loud. When they daven these special prayers, they went to Har Habayis. In Jerusalem, as well go to Har Habayis, not stop at the Kotel Plaza. Okay? You had needed a special prayer service because of the emergency situation. Go to Har Habayis and daven opposite the Eastern Gate, which means you're not beyond the Azara, but on Har Habayis. Yeah, it's a very good place. With Palim Kaseder Azeh. And then he says, here's the thing. He mentions that they don't say the regular bracha, say Baruch Hashem, okay, so and not Amen, but Baruch Hashem, and the Kohanim sound the shofar, and there's a whole prayer, and they also sound the Chatzos Roth. Okay, so he says here, he concludes, Ve'eno sim seder zeh ella b'har habayis bilvad. The way that I just described is specific to Har Habayis. And when they sound the shofar, or when they play the trumpets, they do that with the shofar and trumpets together. By the way, that's from a pasuk. The chatzos haroth uvkol shofar haril ufnei Melech Hashem, in God's place. Now you look at the sources there. What does it say? In the source, it says in the Mikdash, Seder Hazeh Ba Mikdash, which is, what does it teach you? It said in Chazal, you do this in the Mikdash. The Rambam says, yeah, Har Habayis. Because according to the Rambam, Har Habayis is Mikdash. And what the Gemara is describing as specific modes of prayer that are just for the Mikdash apply across to Har Habayis. So the way the Kohanim sound the shofar, and the way we say the prayers, and all the other things, that includes Har Habayis that's well beyond even the Chil. Okay? So this proves an essential contention that Mikdash is Har Habayis, and the halachas apply throughout Har Habayis, and more importantly, there's a milah to go to Har Habayis to daven, even if you have no intention to sacrifice. None of this is sacrificial. What are the Kohanim doing? Yeah, they're not doing any of the avodah, right? They don't even have to wear a big day kahuna for this. This is beyond the Azara. This might even be at night. Okay? This is whenever they can. So this teaches there is a milah to go to the base of Mikdash. And by the way, it doesn't say that, like we saw before. They did this in Har Habayis. It doesn't have to be the Mikdash is standing there. There's a Mizbeach, whatever it is. We did find in Tanakh a few examples of emergency sacrifice being offered. We have Korbanot Tzibur, right? Korbanot Tzibur have a specific time or a specific circumstance. What is the time? Well, if it's a day that ends in Y, so there's a Tamid. And if it's a Shabbos, there's more, Musaf, etc., Musafim. And then there's Par Helam Davar, Syria Avodah Zarah. Those are also for the Tzibur, if the circumstance calls for it. And we found that in times of war, they offered additional sacrifice on a Bama, for example. So Shaul Melech and Shmuel Navi and Gidon and others, when they went to war, offered sacrifice. They built an altar or something, and they offered some sort of sacrifice, right? But once the temple was built, we didn't find even David HaMelech did this, by the way. David HaMelech apparently offered sacrifice when he was attacked by the Philistines, once he took the throne. We didn't find in those cases? It says, for example, Divrei Yomim, that at different times of trouble, in First Temple times, they gathered in the temple to pray and to fast and to cry out to God, because that's what they're supposed to do there, right? It says, Yoshaphat led a prayer gathering in the temple in the Chatzar Chadasha, outside the Azara, and what we now call the Ezras Nashim, which was a new thing back then. It was on Har HaBayis, but that was called Mikdash then also. They didn't offer any special sacrifice. All these times, when they went to the base of Mikdash to pray in times of emergencies, what sacrifice could they offer? It makes sense that one person can voluntarily offer a burnt offering. But a tzibur does a korban nedava, right? In the base of Mikdash. Yeah, you're saying like, no, that sounds scandalous. And indeed, they didn't do that. In all these cases where we have that there was extra prayer in the base of Mikdash, they didn't offer any additional sacrifice or try to innovate some sort of sacrifice. You know why? Because it's not what God wants. And the ikar is the prayer. You already have a korban tamid. That's an ola. Pray with the korban tamid. Because I'll realize that korban tamid time is the best time for the representatives of the people to pray for everything. That's called the ma'amad. But beyond that, if you're going to have extra prayers because of the fast day, because there are times of trouble, there's no extra sacrifice. Okay? Just understand that. You're supposed to go to the base of Mikdash to daven. So when I was telling this to this individual yesterday, it was sort of a surprise. Telling him, you're supposed to go to the base of Mikdash just to daven. He asked me, what do you gain by going there? If there's no base of Mikdash and you're not building a Mizbeach, are you actually gaining anything that you can't do at the Kotel? And the answer is, yes. You're davening where you're supposed to daven. Any davening outside the temple is like a copy of what you're supposed to do there. And that's why you're supposed to face the temple. But you could Hariani, Kaven, Shivim Shana, or however old this guy is, thank God, he's still young. He's an educator. He's a Jewish guy, does everything Jewish, but never got around to that chapter where you're supposed to daven in the base of Mikdash. It's a real problem. We have to teach people.